The ocean is scary as I think even today we've only explored like 3% of the ocean. So what do you think was swimming around back then? Now we all know about sharks, giant squids, sharp-toothed fish, and other crazy predators that have existed in the time of humans. But what about our ancient seas? What monsters existed before and even after the time of dinosaurs? Well, today there are many of us who wouldn't even dare to take a swim in the ocean of fear of getting eaten by a shark, myself included, and I have jaws to thank for. Even today, whenever I hear that creepy violin buildup, it scares the crap out of me. I'm being serious, man. My ass is staying on the beach. I'm not getting in, and you can't convince me, okay? I mean, even in today's nature, we're not even talking about prehistoric times. There's a whole bunch of animals that creep me the out. I mean, look at this bird, for example. It's called the shoebill bird, and there's no way you can convince me that's not a dinosaur. But anyways, I'm getting off topic here. Let's go ahead and list some of the most mind-boggling sea monsters that ever existed. Number 1, Megalodon. When you think of a sea monster, you most likely think of the Megalodon. Translated, its name means big tooth, and its teeth were almost definitely big, measuring up to 7 inches long. A relative of today's great white shark, the Megalodon was the largest species of shark to have ever lived. It reached an average of 50 feet in length, which is the size of a New York subway car, and weighed as much as 9 elephants. Scientists believe the Megalodon used the same kill tactics as its famous cousin, swiftly ambushing its prey from underneath. You can imagine it would be hard to satisfy its monstrous appetite. With a size this big, the Megalodon roamed the seas, eating mostly whales and occasionally snacking on unlucky giant sea turtles or porpoises. Number 2, Mosasaurus. If you've ever seen Jurassic World, you've had a glimpse of the sheer power of the Mosasaurus. It was the top predator of the Cretaceous period, measuring at almost 60 feet, which is the length of about 2 London double-decker buses. Its head resembled a massive crocodile, and the jaws were filled with hundreds of razor-sharp teeth. 4 large fins allowed it to easily propel itself through the water, up to 30 miles per hour. Weighing in at about 20,000 pounds, this colossus would lie in and wait for mammals that needed to come up for air and then charge them from beneath. Despite its poor eyesight, this terrifying creature was a threat to animals below and above the water's surface, even leaping out of the water to pluck prehistoric birds right out of thin air. Number 3, Livyatan. This fiercely territorial apex predator lived in the ancient seas that once covered Europe. Livyatan was almost 30 feet long. It weighed about over 3,500 pounds, which is as much as 3 grizzly bears. Very much like myself, most of its weight came from its massive head. Thanks to its above average sense of smell, it could easily detect its prey. Each of its 4 fins could grow as long as a Volkswagen Beetle, which is about 13.5 feet. They helped it swim really fast, gaining enough speed to propel itself up and out of the water like a dolphin. That would have been an incredible sight to see, to be honest, but you probably wouldn't have lived to tell your friends about it even if you did see it. Number 4, Tylosaurus. The Tylosaurus was the king of the food chain for several million years. Its closest living cousin is the monitor lizard. It grew up to about 45 feet in length, or if you want a better visual, that's about 2 school buses put together. The Tylosaurus was built for speed, with a flat tail and paddle-like fins. It had 2 rows of pointed cone-shaped teeth inside its powerful jaws. Its appetite was massive, eating everything from fish and sharks to plesiosaurs and small mosasaurs. It even munched on a couple of flightless birds. Number 5, the Basilosaurus. The Basilosaurus' name means king of lizards. Although the name suggests it was a relative of the reptiles, this predator was actually an ancient relative of the whale. But you won't know just by looking at it. This lean, mean hunting machine didn't have the telltale blubber of today's whales. When it was first discovered, scientists mistook Basilosaurus for an ancient sea serpent. And the reason why is because it was long. It measured about 50 feet in length, and just for an even more fun visual, that's 7 times the size of Andre the Giant. And it weighed as much as 7 T-Rexes, which is about 60 tons, adding up to over 132,000 pounds. So it's a big boy. This predator was unlike others. It had table manners, taking the time to chew its food with the rows of massive teeth it had. It wasn't a solitary creature. Instead, it hunted in packs. You can just imagine a gang of these eel-like beasts terrorizing the ancient seas. And just like most of the creatures on this list, you definitely would not have made it. Number 6, Livyatan. Livyatan was an ancient relative of the whale as well, and looked much like today's sperm whale, only if the sperm whale was on steroids. Its scientific name, Livyatan melville, comes from both the Hebrew word for Leviathan as well as the author Herman Melville, author of Moby Dick, which was that famous white sperm whale. Anyways, this ancient beast lived up to its name. It grew up as long as 60 feet, which is as long as a bowling lane. Its sharp teeth are the longest ever measured in any creature at 14 inches long. Living alongside the fearsome Megalodon, it hunted in packs. It was the only creature roaming the seas that posed any threat to the monster shark. And coming in hot on number 7 is the name that gave me a brain aneurysm trying to read it. We have the Thalattoarchon Saurophagis. Bless me. Called the T-Rex of the oceans, the Thalattoarchon was one of the first rulers of the sea. It was discovered less than 10 years ago in a Nevada desert back in 2013. It was about 28 feet long, and if you want to get an idea of how big it was, this 28-foot long marine reptile was 4 times the length of basketball star Shaquille O'Neal. We're still learning about this massive predator, but scientists believe it was capable of devouring prey its own size with its fearsome 5-inch teeth. Alright, at number 8 we have Leedsichthys. Although sea creatures didn't have to live in fear, our next monster holds the record for one of the largest fish to ever live. The Leedsichthys was over 50 feet long. It had a mouthful of over 40,000 teeth. Resembling a modern shark, it spent most of its days swimming the seas, devouring large mouthfuls of tiny plankton. It might not have been dangerous, but if I saw it, I would immediately perish. There's no way I would survive the sight of that without getting a heart attack. Number 9 is a Helicoprion. This predator was seriously creepy. One look at its jaw-dropping wheel of teeth in the bottom jaw would send any would-be prey into hiding. As the Helicoprion's teeth grew, they turned inward, creating a spiral called a tooth whorl, basically a built-in weapon. An ancient relative of today's sharks, this freaky creature's buzzsaw jaws still causes some debate among scientists. Some think the tooth whorl was inside its mouth, while others place it just outside its lower jaw. And by the way, it doesn't really matter where it's located because it's probably going to tear you apart anyways. Number 10, we have the Kronosaurus. This beast gets its name from the father of Zeus and the leader of the Greek Titans, Kronos. About the length of a telephone pole and its head measuring almost 7 feet, this predator had its pick of prey. 2 sets of powerful fins helped fight strong ocean currents, and even feasted on marine dinosaurs that were the same size of them. It had this massive head, short neck, and broad flippers. Its 3-inch teeth may not have been sharp, but their lethally powerful bite and strong grip more than compensated for them. Once you were in its grasp, there's no way you're going anywhere. Number 11, we have Predator X. Although it's commonly referred to as Predator X, its scientific name is Pliosaurus funki. I don't know if it's pronounced that way, but I'm just gonna go with it. Its bite was 4 times as powerful as a T-Rex, the largest bite force of any animal ever known, measuring as long as a city bus. Its massive jaws were capable of taking down almost any marine animal. Studies are still underway to learn more about this giant monster of the sea, but safe to say you wouldn't survive this one either. It feels like I'm talking about a completely different planet whenever I'm listing these off. It's like the ancient seas were a completely different world, just riddled with everything trying to kill you. What is this, Australia? Now, we just went over like the most popular and biggest ones that, most of you probably heard of. But let's take a look at some of the other ones that are really worth knowing about. Okay, so the first honorable mention goes to Hyneria. This predatory fish existed before the time of dinosaurs or any land creatures, roaming murky riverbeds. It measured up to 12 feet in length. It had a solid bony skeleton and powerful jaws. It could actually propel itself onto land to surprise its prey, kind of like an orca attacking a seal. Okay, next let's talk about the Mosasaurus. This ancient marine reptile lived like seals, going back and forth between land and sea. Its needle-like teeth pointed outward, helping it catch any fish or any innocent victim that passed by. It grew up to 23 feet in length, which is roughly about 3 Shaquille O'Neals, and could weigh up to 330 pounds. It may not have been as big as the other predators, but looking at this thing, I will not want to mess with it anyways. The next one is the giant orthocons. This creature was one long conical shaped shell with tentacles at the end. The shell made up 90% of its total body length. It has no fins and no tail, propelling water through its body instead to help it dart through the water. Its large sharp beak was perfect for crushing its prey. Second to last, we have Eurypterids. It was also known as a sea scorpion, which roam both land and sea. Though not actually related to the scorpions we know of today, you can imagine how terrifying it would be to meet one underwater. They could grow to be as long as 7 feet, which is the same size of a twin mattress. So imagine seeing a twin mattress sized scorpion underwater coming right at you. No thank you. And last but not least, we have the Dunkleosteus. This predatory fish had one ugly mug. It was covered in a tank-like armor. Bony plates made up its jaws, and they were sculpted into razor-sharp fangs. When its upper jaw and lower jaws rubbed against one another, it enabled them to self-sharpen. Prey would literally be sucked into its jaws because of how quickly it could close and open them. One of the first true apex predators on Earth, this fish had few that could conquer it. By the way, PSA to the science community, can we give things at least names that are a little bit easier to pronounce? Had even one of these sea predators be alive right now, you bet your ass I am staying indoors. That being said, hope to see you soon. Love you like a headache.